Are you ready to find out what it's really like being a virtual assistant? In this video, I'm going to dive through a few of the things that you need to keep in mind if you are becoming a virtual assistant. And this is coming from someone who has run a virtual assistant agency the last 6 years and have seen so many of our virtual assistants. I've heard a lot of their concerns and what they go through. And I want to give you a little bit of just a preparation if you are going to go with this route. None of this is to discourage you. None of this is to tell you don't do it. It's just one of the things that you need to keep in mind, just like any other job as you're getting started. Now, the first thing is you need to define yourself. And what that means, it could mean a lot of things. One is you need to define what kind of virtual assistant that you want to be. Now, when you're starting out, you might just be taking any jobs that come across. That's valid. That's good because you're just getting started. You might also just be getting whatever client. But then as time goes on, you need to be aware that this is something that you're moving towards, where you need to define what kind of virtual assistant you want to be. That way it's easier for you to, one, be more confident about who it is that you're serving and what it is that you do, as well as easier for you to be able to pitch yourself when you're talking to other people, when you're talking as a virtual assistant, like, hey, this is what I do. It comes from narrowing down, you knowing basically what it is that you do best and how you best show up for clients. And then you need to also define yourself as a virtual assistant when it comes to your soft skills or what it is that you're bringing to the table. What are the ways that you are going to help your client grow their business, because that's essentially what you're going to be there for, is to help them grow their business or run their business. So what it is that specifically the problem that you solve, being the person that you are, not just your skills, but also the person that you are. Are you someone who is perfect for working with startup companies where you're willing to put on a lot of hats because you're learning a lot of skills and at the same time you're seeing a company grow? Or are you the type of virtual assistant where you're really good when it comes to running things, when it's just keeping kind of the momentum or keeping a status quo as the company grows? So whatever that looks like for you, you need to know what your comfort level is, because again, it's going to be easier for you to find jobs, to get clients, if you have those defined out. And speaking of, you do need a lot of self-awareness when you're becoming a virtual assistant. You need to know if the client communications are failing, if the systems are failing. You need to be aware of yourself, of your own boundaries as well. Like, do you like working morning shift, evening shift, mid shift? Do you like working from coffee shops or co-working spaces, or do you prefer just doing it in the comfort of your own home? Do you like, basically you're finding out what are your own limits as a virtual assistant. So then again, it makes it easier for you to work as a virtual assistant long term when you know and you're aware of all of this. Because when you're looking for jobs, or even when you're working with someone long term, you have this really well defined space of like, what are the things that are acceptable to you, so then you can sustain doing this long term. Because that's the main thing that I want you to think about as you're becoming a virtual assistant, or you are a virtual assistant, is what does this look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now for me, and what makes sense for the lifestyle that I want to lead. For a lot of our assistants, they love working from home because they're moms of human babies and pet babies, and whatever that looks like for them, it fits to the lifestyle that they want to have. For me, I've said it that I've been wanting to work remote forever and ever and ever. So any type of business that I started, which was 2XU, I wanted to make sure that it was also fully remote. So starting with your self-awareness and the end in mind of where you want to be as a virtual assistant is going to be one of the key things for you. Next is you need to study a lot. And when you're a virtual assistant, you're not going to get a lot of training from your boss, or even if you have a manager within like the company that you're working for. You're going to be in charge of upskilling yourself, of researching videos like this on how to be better at a certain skill, on how to be better when it comes to your soft skills as well, like how to be better self-managed or how to do better time management. Whatever that looks like, you have to be the one responsible for looking for ways to grow yourself versus just waiting for your client. Because for your client, they're concerned about a bajillion things within their own business that is up to you to find books, find podcasts, find videos like this, where you can grow yourself, where you can find more information of how to be a better virtual assistant, again, especially long term. Next is you are managing yourself. And I've said this a lot basically previously, where you need to know how to take a break. You need to know when to essentially take care of yourself, whether that's going to the gym, going for a walk, having healthy meals, and at the same time, how to manage your overwhelm. How do you break things down so then you don't break down, essentially? So how are you going to make sure that as things fly by you, as your client or the business essentially gives you a lot of tasks, how are you keeping yourself organized? How are you keeping yourself, again, self-sustaining? How are you keeping yourself to the point where you can still do a little bit of above and beyond without overwhelming or burning yourself out? Because you don't want to have, do everything in the business, but then at the same time, you're not doing anything for yourself. So you have to find that balance of managing who you are, because you hopefully have had self-awareness, you've had to the point where you've defined yourself, that you can flag things, you can bring things up with your client when something's not comfortable, when something's not right, and you're able to align yourself and your client to what actually does make sense. Next is you need to know who you're working with. And this goes to defining your niche, but it also goes down to defining what kind of boss you know works well with you. So this could be like, hey, you like having, like for me and my assistant, we love doing daily syncs just because it's a way for us as things go by really fast in 2XU to keep in sync, to know where things are at. Now, some of our EAs do prefer just once a week calls with their clients. Some of them prefer to have their clients be easily accessible on WhatsApp. Some of them just like doing just the meetings. So knowing the kind of boss, not just the niche that you're working with, is going to be one of the things that will, again, make it easier for you when you're searching for jobs, where you know what kind of boss to avoid and what kind of boss to lean towards. There are people who like working with kind of difficult bosses because then they know how to manage them, how to work with them. Some people like more, of course, the chill bosses. So it's not negative one way or the other. It's really just your own preferences. And again, knowing what kind of person you want to work for. Another one is you do need to be proactive. And what proactive basically means is you're able to watch patterns and suggest things or even just do things without being asked. It's seeing that your client got the same 10 emails from the same email sender and it's all like just this weird outreach email and then flagging and putting them in spam. Or it could be watching your client's LinkedIn post basically get viral and then starting to respond to those people without being asked. So it's learning how to think ahead, but at the same time, it's watching for patterns. It's watching for, oh, if this has happened before, this was the result. I want to make sure we avoid that, or I want to make sure that we do that. So this is now the thing that we're going to do better. So it's watching for those patterns and not just kind of being the person who just says yes. You're focused on the outcome essentially of what your client wants versus just looking at the tasks that they gave you. You're also asking them questions of like, hey, what's the end goal of this? What's the point of this? What makes sense here? So then for you, you can make decisions even when your client is asleep. They don't have to be there. You can make decisions as them because you've learned enough of the patterns of what are their goals, what are their preferences, so then you can start acting on it again, even when they're not there. And of course, you'll get to work anywhere. That's kind of just the reality of being a virtual assistant, is you can work from home, coffee shops, co-working spaces. In fact, I'm going to another one right after recording this video. But essentially, you want to have the preparedness of essentially having to work anywhere. And the reality of it is, one, yes, you get to travel to different cities or countries. At the same time, you need to make sure that you're creating a workspace for yourself. When I'm looking at Airbnbs or hotels to stay at, I'm looking for workspaces and stable internet connections. Versus, of course, when I'm just home, I'm at home. I have a very comfy workspace all set up. But then you have to be, again, aware of what are the things that make sense for you to keep doing this long term if you're going to be traveling a lot, versus if you are just going to be at home and then you have that separation that you can go out and do errands afterwards. Again, it's really up to you. You get to define this as well. And finally, the reality of being a virtual assistant is you do need a community. And that's what I'm building with the AI for Virtual Assistants community, or AVA, which I'm basically building up on both Facebook group and also on the nas.io. If you guys want to sign up for the community, make sure to go below. And basically every Monday, we're doing a mini challenge of the week on using AI for different tasks as a virtual assistant. On Wednesdays, we go live on YouTube to basically walk you through whatever tool that I'm curious about that we want to dive into. And then basically every Friday, we also celebrate some wins. questions. So that is essentially our Ava community. But the reason why you need a community is essentially that you need people to surround yourself with who are going to the same goals that you are, or at least aligned in some way, to kind of help you whenever you stumble, to help answer questions, to kind of guide you through the things that they've probably already gone through, and they can guide you through how they were able to do it and how they were able to succeed. Being a virtual assistant could either be one of the hardest jobs you'll ever do or one of the ones that naturally come to you. And it all comes from that knowledge of being aware of also knowing where you want to be and where you want to, or who you want to become. And it's also the reality of it's just part of the path that you've chosen as a virtual assistant. Now, if you guys like this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button right there. Comment below if you guys have any questions at all about becoming a virtual assistant. I would love to know and make a future video about it. And if you still haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of my videos every Sunday on how to work online, especially with AI. And if you want to check out my second channel all about business and AI, you can check it out right here. And of course, the latest video right here. Hope you guys have an amazing and fantastic day. And remember that small steps matters. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.